Hello, everyone. Michael Jordan fans are the best. And on this beautiful Sunday, we're going to be discussing if we're done with the modern NBA or not. But first, before we get on all of that, I'd like to welcome everybody who's on the panel and everyone that's in the live chat. Welcome for getting here. But for the people that just got here or that are coming in, excuse me, uh, welcome. Hoop God, how are you today?
Man, good afternoon, gentlemen. I'm great. How about y'all?
Good, good.
Great, great.
Sir.
Uncommon Sense, how are you today?
I'm running on fumes, but I'm here for this. I'm ready.
NMB Sports, how you doing?
Doing good. Mavs are doing good. Life is good. Glad to be here.
Absolutely. AOH, how are you today?
Doing great. It's good to see you guys. Girlfriend had to borrow the camera for an event, so just doing the avatar today.
Yep. And then Robin, Sports and Fitness Rants, how are you today?
What's up, everybody out there? I'm doing great as usual. You know the deal, baby. Shout out to everybody in the chat, man. Let's roll, fellas.
Hey, give Uncommon Sense some of what you've got, Robin.
Yep. So Uncommon Sense, before you fall asleep, we'll start with you. Are you done with the modern NBA or not, and why?
I'm definitely done with the modern NBA, and it's really too many reasons. But I think the basic reason is, to me, anything you do is about the intent and the meaning behind it. And at this point, it just feels like the modern NBA doesn't have any meaning to it. You know, and let me say this to the younger generation out there. A lot of you guys, I know that this is the only NBA you know, but when you are having a discussion with someone who has actually watched several decades of basketball, who lived through the Michael Jordan era, who was old enough to watch Bird and Magic, trust us when we tell you that this current generation is missing something, and that something to me is a true passion for the game, which I think they make a lot of excuses for. They try to disguise it in a lot of ways, but at the end of the day, these players are looking for more reasons not to play. When you take someone like Michael Jordan, who had the love of the game clause, basically saying you can't stop me from playing basketball. Like, I get to play basketball when and where I want. And these modern players are looking for more and more ways to play less and less. So based on that fact, you cannot tell me that they have the same passion for the game as players of the past. So, that's one of the reasons. But I probably could sit here and start this off with a 30-minute speech about why I can't stand the modern NBA.
All right. Nick, are you done with the modern NBA or not, and why?
I'm always the politically correct one, but I'll never be done with basketball. I will say that I'm a fan of the game. We all love this game because we started playing it or watching it. And so will I ever be done? No, because, I am a Mavs fan first and foremost, right? I will never be done with the NBA. That being said, I do think the product these days is not as good. It's not as fun to watch. It's more superstar driven than team driven. It's just a different brand of basketball, right? And do I like it as much? No, I don't like it as much. But will I ever be done with the NBA, including today's game? No, I will not. And again, I have Luka, so it's easy for me to say I enjoy maybe watching the game a little more than you guys. But I will also say what Uncommon said, I agree. But also I take a different perspective on it, right? I never want to be the old guy shaming the sort of younger kids because they like what they like, right? It just is what it is, right? And I take the different approach of it's our job to counterbalance that in a way to say, hey, you love this generation. These are your boys, right? Understand 100%, right? We all have the guy we watched growing up that we love, right? But it's our job to say, hey, you should also check out this guy or this era or think about this or put it this way, right? It's our job to, I think, not shun them, but to give balance to what they know now, right? That I never want to be the old guy, right? Hating just the younger kids, because it just is what it is, right? Maybe we don't understand or we see it differently, but again, the politically correct answer, right? Do I like today's game? Not really, but it's our job to help them see the entire picture, right? So I'll leave it there.
Yeah. AOH, what's your take on all of that with NMB sports and uncommon sense? And are you done with the modern NBA or not, and why?
I am done, but as he mentioned, it's hard to walk away from something that you enjoyed for so long. I guess there's a piece of you that hopes for something, but it's beyond whether or not you want to watch it, because it affects basketball across the board. It affects the way other people are playing it. It affects your experience when you go and try and play pickup. And I actually have personal stories that I wanted to share to explain why I'm done with the modern NBA. I went and played the other day. I was actually just jogging in the park with my dogs, and a guy I knew was over on the courts, and he said, "Oh, gee, come over." And they were it's just like a bunch of robots walking around. He knows I don't like LeBron James, and so he said something, and it was immediately clear that I was having to play with a bunch of LeBron people. And and they Uncommon alluded to this on something he said earlier in the week about they have too fast of access immediately to information on the web that isn't necessarily true, instead of actually figuring things out for themselves. And they're going around chattering shit about LeBron, about Michael Jordan not having a left hand. And I'm like, this is exactly what the fucking media said this week, and you guys are being obedient little robots saying it. Fucking think for yourselves. And you can go online and find all of these tutorials from guys calling themselves coaches saying ridiculous crap like, in this scenario, you can take 4 steps. And these people are calling themselves coaches. Anyways, so you know me, I can't shut my mouth. So I'm like, well, I'll just go stand in the corner and facilitate the offense the way that LeBron does. And by the way, can I carry the ball in between dribbles? I just want to know what the rules are today. Anyway, I went on to have success playing that day because I used my left hand and a pump fake. Very simple things that apparently are mind-boggling for these people because they don't know what to do when I use them. I'm like, yeah, that was my Jordan left hand and the old pump fake. So the other thing about playing pickup ball is I really only want to play when it's 3-on-3 because it forces them to actually do basketball things. Full court now, I've realized you're just going to kind of jog 10 feet. 1 or 2 people are going to be the ones that chuck up a 3 every single time. The entire game exists at the perimeter, which if you like that, you know, that's your thing. But to me, it removes what basketball is, what I thought basketball is. It removes the strategy. It removes the ball movement. It removes creativity. And you know, it's a glorified 3-point shooting contest. It's like, just have a 3-point shooting contest if you aren't going to execute basketball moves when you get over there. Now,
Yes.
I'm editing the 2020 finals, breaking them down, and I saw a play where Alex Caruso flops like crazy, just flopped like crazy. And I know that's not necessarily the guy who we thought of as a flopper, but I guess when you're on LeBron's team, you incorporate it. And not so much the fact that he flopped, but that everybody just kind of like was like, yep, all right. Even the Miami team, nobody really did anything about it. And it was the worst flop I've seen in a long time. And it made me think of the principle of how things have changed. You would, if you flopped like that back in the day, the guys on the court would have some words for you there and afterward. I mean, you'd pay the price. Like any of you guys ever have a dad that said, I'll give you something to cry about? You imagine a guy, if you're gonna flop like that, somebody's gonna lay your ass out and be like, you want to flop? I'll fucking help you flop. And one last thing, because I always have these arguments in my mind because I know how the LeBron nation works. They're always trying to find an excuse to justify bad behavior. They're going to talk about, well, maybe Rodman flopped. Rodman sold calls, but he also stuck his body in there where he took some beatings. Like he actually took punishment for the fouls he got called on other people. But something else I want to remind people about, I know it's easy to nostalgically look back at that time and think that all good things, but Rodman was not well liked. Announcers and analysts were constantly saying bad things about Rodman. Like, this guy's bad for the game. He's atrocious for the NBA. Nowadays, everybody thinks he was just this wonderful God player that helped Jordan get rings. Back then, that sort of behavior was extremely frowned upon. Now we're way beyond Rodman, and it's fine. So it just kind of shows how much things have changed. So it's the attitude of men and competitors, to me, that's bothersome as much as the way that basketball itself has changed.
Real fast, we have a couple super chats that came in. Full Venom Jacket 2AOH says, I think the players of today are so pampered and paid at such a crazy level. None of them think they need to play defense in the regular season, which has made it an unwatchable product. What do you have to say about that, AOH?
Well, yeah, and they start so young. If you encourage bad behavior, like, who's going to tell them not to act that way? They're getting paid millions of dollars and getting away with it. How are you ever going to expect them to change? They're not going to grow up on their own and be like, you know what? This is easy, but it's not right. No, we're talking about 20-something-year-olds that have never face consequences. Are any of them in danger of having their paycheck removed for acting that way? No, not one of them.
Absolutely. And then, unless you have anything more to say, AOH, we'll do a transition just for everyone. I didn't mention this in the beginning. If you're going to super chat somebody, please say who you're super chatting. That way it can be addressed, because we are live streaming this across all of our channels, and it doesn't say who you're super chatting it to. So please, and I'll have it up on here, name who you're super chatting in the chat. But for the transition, Robin, unless do you have anything more you want to say, AOH, or are you good to just do a come about it on the next round?
I always have more to say, but I took more than my share time. Go on.
All right. Well, actually, real fast, this will be for Robin, and then we'll let AOH got another super chat. So just to make the transition even better, but for Robin, if you can remember this, or I don't know who this is for. Actually, this is more of a statement. Modern fans don't watch games, just selected clips. If you want to go and address that. And then AOH also got another super chat from Derek, if it'll pop up. It says, last I checked, MJ dribbled the ball with his left hand before sinking that shot versus Craig Elo. Jordan is the GOAT. Oh, and then here's another one. Yeah, the super chats are coming in. So, but yeah, do you have anything to say about that, AOH?
Some people on my channel said, oh, do a video about Jordan's left hand. And I actually thought that one was so absurd that it didn't deserve any time. I mean, Jordan uses left hand all the time. Where are they coming up with these things?
Hey,
That's what's so upsetting when I go to the basketball court and you hear these guys repeating shit that is based on nothing, but they heard it and therefore, oh, okay, it's on the internet. It must be true.
Hey, yo, AOH, I agree with what you said about Rodman. Everybody hated him except for his teammates. They loved him.
Yeah.
All right. And then Dewan, there's a super chat. I don't know who it went to directly, but Hoop God, you were asked who's your favorite player today, and then we'll get to Robin, because they're just coming in here at this point.
Okay. Well, my top, I would say my top three: Jokic, of course, Curry, of course, and Luka. Right now, I mean, I'm a guy. I love skills, so I can sit back and watch those guys.
All right. Robin, what do you have to say about what everyone has said? And then also, are you done with the modern NBA or not, and why?
Whoa, man, it was a lot of things said, man. And I believe that,
Cook up.
and like everyone's saying, this is a topic where it's like you said, you can go off in all kinds of avenues, all kinds of tangents with this kind of question. To Nick's point, as far as being done with the NBA, I don't think we're saying that we're done with the NBA per se. What we're saying is we're done with the mindset of a lot of these players and the antics of these players and the style of play. That's what we're done with. We're not done with basketball in general. Like you said, we all love the game, and that's the problem. For me, when on common sense, he hits it on the head, man. Because at the core of this, it comes down to the lack of respect that we have for these current players. We don't have the same respect. We don't hold them in that same regard, these players of today. Why? Because they haven't earned the respect of the fans today. They're throwing the fans out of the arenas. You cannot criticize the players today. You have Kevin Durant making burner accounts to go after the fans in the media. Like, this is what they're doing now. So the players, like we've all said, have become entitled to the point where they feel they're above the game. So this is the problem for these guys. So they just want to make the money. It's all about the fame for them. This is a main reason why the game has struggled. Like my man on Common Sense was saying earlier, these guys don't even want to show up to work now. So they had to put a minimum on these guys. They had to literally put a minimum on these guys to get them, literally force them to show up to work. That's literally what that 65 games was supposed to do. And for a lot of us, we still felt that was kind of low. I said it should have been at least 70 games. Some people told me it should have been like 75. But they'll always say, what? We're the old heads. This is the old school mentality. No, this is the standard that the other all-time greats were held to. They showed up to work. This is what they did. The players today are complaining, saying, well, the guys back in those days didn't have these standards held upon them. No, they didn't need to have these kinds of requirements. They didn't need an in-season tournament to compete, to make it seem like these guys are competitive. This is what they want you to believe. So this is what we have a problem watching or being a part of. You can't support. How can you support this stuff? I always say the same thing on my channel. It's about standing up. This is what the old heads, or quote unquote old heads, are doing. We're standing up to the nonsense that we're witnessing on the court. The flopping. We mentioned Dennis Rodman and the flopping. The thing with Dennis Rodman, as it pertains to, let's say, quote unquote flopping, if you're going against Karl Malone, if you're going against a Shaquille O'Neal, if you're going against some of these guys and you're quote unquote flopping against a Karl Malone elbow or a shoulder from a Karl Malone, you're not flopping like my man AOA said. You're selling a call to try to get some of these guys in foul trouble. That's part of Dennis Rodman's game, right? The antics, the mind games of a Dennis Rodman. If you're going against Shaquille O'Neal and you're outweighed by almost 100 pounds and he bangs into you, if you flop backwards, that's not the same as what we're witnessing today when guys who are 6'3" are setting screens against 6'8" guys and they're flying into the stands, they're knocking drinks over. That's not the same thing, all right? So those are things we must understand. The game today has suffered because of the style of play, obviously, is a big problem for a lot of us. The All-Star game this past season, this past All-Star game, was one of the worst displays of skills that I've ever seen in my life. These are the most skilled basketball players that we've ever heard of, they said. These guys are way more skilled than the guys I grew up watching, apparently. But when I watched the All-Star game, who's supposed to be the cream of the crop here, I don't see any skills. These guys could barely dunk the basketball. We got guys like Karl Anthony Towns running around like a bunch of idiots. But these are the most skilled guys. So if that's the skills, this is part of the problem that we have with the game. I'm not done with the NBA. I'm done with these guys. Like I said, the mindset of these players, they haven't earned the respect of the true fans, and this is what we're standing up to.
All right, we got more super chats here. So Charles Johnson, he said it's for all. If you want to answer this, Hoop God, and we'll transition to you after we go through the other ones. But do you think that YouTube cracked down on the Barry Bonds allegations? And he says, comment keep their foot on the necks.
Hey, did it lag
Hold
out?
on.
Oh,
Can you hear me?
yeah, I thought it lagged out. Okay.
Okay. No, I tried to mute. I had an airplane. But yeah, do you think that it was they cracked down on that?
You said on the Barry Bonds issue?
Yeah.
That's a good question. The best way I can answer that is look at A-Rod. You know, I hate it for Barry Bonds, and one of my favorite all-time baseball players. But I mean, hey, we see what happened with A-Rod, so you know, we know who has been implicated and who has yet to address the media, but we won't mention that.
Yep. Here's a super chat for AOH. Jordan turned his weaknesses and the strengths. What aspect has LeBron improved upon over the years? Do you have anything to say about that? We got a lot of super chats, so I'm trying to go through them real fast before Hoop God goes.
Yeah,
But
thank you. Thank you, everybody, for the super chats, by the way. I appreciate it. Yeah, exactly. I think a lot of people would say that LeBron has somehow managed to get worse. And you could argue, oh, well, of course he's old. But the thing he's not getting worse at is dunking, which doesn't make any sense. Well, then again, his dunks are all wide open. So I don't know how many NBA players can't do that. I guess this year his 3-pointers are better, but that's better than the previous years, which were just abysmal, just like crazy bad. And
Uncontested threes.
yeah. Oh my God. I mean, they always say there's a reason that they leave you wide open. Every now and then he's going to make you pay, but you got to live with it. But the fact that he misses free throws at this stage in his life is weird. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure I've said this before. I don't want to be redundant, but the only reason to miss free throws at this point in your career is that you have mental weaknesses.
All right, real fast. Too Real didn't address who they were super chatting, but it says, where's the Behind the Bench Sports Network? I personally don't know who they are. Yeah. Then AOH, you got another $10 super chat from Eric C. With nothing said on that.
Oh, thank you, Eric. Thank you.
And then Eric C. also gave one to Uncommon Sense for $10 as well.
Hey, much appreciated.
And then he also gave $10 to Robin, Sports and Fitness Rants.
Yo, much respect out there. Yo, the super chat, yo, you guys are blowing us up, man. Much respect to everybody out there. I'm truly humbled once again, guys, for all the support for real. It means a lot.
Want the truth. They want the truth. You cannot bury the truth.
Give the people what they want.
So Eric C., I know you were saying this was meant for me, but you gave it to somebody on some other channel, so you may have given it all to whoever's channel you're on, because this says paired. So I didn't get it, but thank you for the thought of $10 super chatting me. But I will not be getting that. Let's see. Is there any more before we go to Hoop God? There probably is, but maybe not. I'm trying to go through here. But yeah, Hoop God, what do you have to say about what everyone has to say or has had to say? Here's a $40 one. Sorry.
Woo.
But it doesn't say who it's for.
Oh, it's clearly for me.
Yeah. I mean, I would like it to be for me as well. But this Hoop God, if you want to answer this one, this team up is legendary. Keep exposing this LeBron-led trash league. Much love and respect. So yeah. Well, yeah, thank you. I think that's just more of a statement. So let's see. And then there's at Robin for another. There's a super chat for Robin. Sorry, I'm kind of. I have a slow connection here. Can a Jordan even exist in this week era?
Real quick, TJ said that was for Sports and Fitness Rants.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah.
Oh wow, much respect, man. No, you know what's crazy? I did a video on that same thing. There would be no Michael Jordan in this era. Like they said, he can't exist in this era. This era is too weak, man. You can't. Can you close your eyes and think of Michael Jordan playing in this era? It just wouldn't add up, man. Because I said it's not just the game that we're talking about. It's the mindset that is the difference between a lot of these players and the players that we grew up watching. I'm not saying all the players today are of that mindset, but most of them are. And that's the problem for the NBA. It's the mindset.
Yeah, I think he would have retired in protest.
Yeah, possibly. Hoop God, what's your are you done? What's your take on what everyone said? And are you done with the modern NBA or not? And why?
So let me start out by addressing everything that all the gentlemen have said so far. Yes, I agree 1,000%. And what Sports and Fitness Ranch just articulated. There's if we're going to be realistic about this, no, there's no Michael Jordan because number one, like you said, it's the mentality, it's the mindset, but then it's also the culture. These guys don't want to compete. They want to be friends. They want to exchange jerseys and they want to become part-time podcasters while you have an NBA contract to fulfill to come back and give your side of the story on why you got ejected from the game or because the coach talked to you a certain way. I mean, this is like arguably the weakest mentality I've ever seen as far as just the mindset of the players. Now, let me just take exception because there are some teams that I do enjoy watching, which are the Denver Nuggets, the Golden State Warriors, the Minnesota Timberwolves because of Ant-Man. And then, as I said earlier, Luka Doncic, because I love to see the skills. Now, with those particular guys, I don't see a lot of the shenanigans versus the field with the traveling, the moving screens, and the flopping and begging for calls. And I mean, just not giving any effort on defense. Because when I'm talking about defense to other guys, I know you guys understand it. They're all, what do you mean? Because they think it's just blocks and still like, no, just giving effort. I mean, granted, you can't control when your shot is either falling or missing, but you can control your defensive effort, getting back in transition, setting a hard screen. I mean, just battling for those 50-50 balls. I'm not seeing a lot of that now, outside of those top tier teams, but for the most part, you don't see that. Like these guys aren't trying to go out there and just lay it all out on the line because they're too pampered. And then it's like now Adam Silver, you got to create all of these gimmicks to make these guys compete. I mean, a bubble championship for crying out loud. An in-season tournament. It's like, what are we doing? Then you look at the ratings. The ratings are horrible. I mean, the last, 3 NBA finals, they garnered lower ratings than Iowa State versus LSU. That game right there had more ratings than the last 3 NBA finals. I'm like, that's embarrassing. And it's no knock to the ladies because I actually enjoy watching them. Like seeing their fundamentals and their skill set. I mean, it's like, bro, I don't know what y'all NBA players doing, but right now, I'm sorry, but these females showing y'all up to a certain extent. But in regards to just being done with the modern NBA as a whole, yes, I am, because it's a horrible product right now. I mean, you got these old, I guess you would say the elder statesmen are trying to come together to go represent Team USA. Now, I'm going to ask y'all a question. We know that the European guys play a diverse style of basketball, right? They don't just go out there and shoot threes and layups. They play in the low post. They take the mid-range. They're great free throw shooters. You can't predict how they're going to play. But for the most part, you know how Team USA is going to play. So I'm trying to figure out what is the point of getting all the elder statesmen together when you all literally play the same style of basketball. So are you suddenly going to turn it on now and start playing differently? Because again, the defensive effort in there, but those guys overseas are playing defense. So I'm just really trying to sit back and really see what legitimate way is this team that they're trying to assemble is going to go over there and all of a sudden bring back the gold. Because I'm sorry, I don't see it. I don't see it.
Real fast. Uncommon Sense has gotten a super chat for $4.99 from Big Mike 95. I'm only 29, but I remember the golden days of Kobe and my Mavericks led by Dirk. I can't stand what bad has become. What do you have to say about that?
First of all, much appreciation for the super chat. And I've said many times that I thought Kobe was the last player kind of holding the league to a certain standard, even though, while Kobe was still in the league, unfortunately, LeBron had already come in and we could see what the league was headed towards. But yeah, I feel like when you have a player like Kobe in the league, at the very least, at least when he plays, other players understand that, hey, we either have to play or we're going to get embarrassed out here. So, like I said, Kobe to me was the last person really holding the league to that standard of old, so to speak. So yeah, I agree.
Hey, Uncommon. This is one of my favorite go-tos when they try to minimize Kobe. I always say, well, why did Coach K have to go get Kobe Bryant in 2006?
Exactly.
I always ask them that because when I went and researched this, right, after he dropped the 81-point game, Nate McMillan, Jerry Colangelo, Mike D'Antoni, Coach K, all were already talking with Kobe Bryant about coming to USA. This is in 2006, but quote unquote, the king was supposed to deliver the goods.
and to me, that move right there just really exposed LeBron's lack of leadership. I mean, he couldn't lead that team. That's what it came down to. Is Kobe had to come in and set the tone for that team for everyone to understand how serious he was.
Indeed.
So yeah.
We got another super chat for Robin, $20 from Recipes with Reed. Since the fanboys always try to tear down MJ's personal character by calling out his gambling, is it fair for us to ask what the great husband and family man LeBron was doing at all those Diddy parties? What do you have to say about that, Robin?
Yo, shout out to my man Recipes with Reed for coming through. And once again, I'm truly appreciative and humbled by all the support. But this is part of what we're also done with when we talk about what we're done with. We're also done with the fans, because these are not the real basketball fans. They're not real basketball fans. The people that people are alluding to, we're talking about now, these are the same people that always talk about Michael Jordan's father's death. They make a joke about Michael Jordan's father's death and how he caused that death. I don't remember people accusing them of these things, or the people I was around saying these kind of crazy things about other players. Now they make fun of Magic Johnson's HIV. Oh, Michael Jordan didn't beat Matt Johnson at HIV. These are the kinds of things you hear from these generation of fans, these fake people, man. They want to make it personal and talk about all these other nonsensical things, but they don't want to talk about LeBron James steroid accusations, but they want to talk about Michael Jordan gambling. They want to talk about Michael Jordan having an alcohol problem. Meanwhile, every time I see LeBron James, a man's got a hand on a wine glass. He's drinking something. The man came to basketball games and sat on the sideline drinking wine. I've never seen Michael Jordan do these things. So what are we really talking about here? These fake fans of today are the problem right now. They're the ones tearing everybody down, calling them plumbers and taxi cab drivers, man. This is what we're standing up to. Shout out to my man Recipes with Reed.
Uncommon Sense just got a cool $50 US super chat from Tamiko Settles. He said, I asked you the question last week about why LeBron left Cleveland the first time, which was he didn't have the help, right? Then why did he leave the second time when he had Kyrie and Love, especially after trying to something? I don't know what it is. But yeah, why did he leave the first time but he didn't have help?
First of all, thanks so much. Thanks so much for the $50 super chat. Yeah, well, I think first of all, you have to understand what no help is to LeBron, and that is if he's not winning, he doesn't have enough help. I mean, I'm sure we've all just done videos on the latest statement from him in the podcast talking about calling the 2011 Miami Heat minimum players outside of him, Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh. So, to me, I take from that, that is the ultimate non-competitive attitude that I have ever seen. And so what I take from that is basically LeBron would like to choose players 1 through 15, ideally, and it would be all the superstars in the league, and they just play against the role players. So yeah.
No. Real fast. Welcome, Man Down Sports. How are you today?
Come on, Man Down.
I'm good, man. How y'all doing, man? Can you hear me good?
Yes, sir.
Yep. Loud and clear.
Good. How y'all doing, man?
Oh, absolutely
good.
Great. We're running through these super chats, and then after that, I'll ask you your take on this question. But trying to catch up because there's so much traffic. If we don't catch them, then they're going to go away. And then I want to acknowledge everyone that super chatted somebody. So
sounds good.
But the Traders Playbook done a super chat for $10 to Uncommon. Why are they trying to erase Kobe from the GOAT conversation? He was the only MJ comparison for the longest. How is Jeannie Buss allowing media to prop up LeBron over Kobe?
Thanks for the $10 super chat. I think they're trying to erase Kobe for the same reason that they're just trying to diminish all the players of the past, is because they're trying to prop up LeBron James. And, I feel like Kobe was clearly better than LeBron. Hey, all you fanboys out there, Kobe was clearly better than LeBron. All you have to do is watch the game. That's all you have to do. You don't have to look at a stat. You don't have to do anything else but watch the game and see who plays with more intensity. Like if something serious was on the line, if your life was on the line, who do you want playing? Some Kobe Bryant, who plays with that intensity all the time, or LeBron James, who just may check out you know, he may be on the bench with his legs crossed, filing his fingernails, as as Tyronn Lue said in the 2016 finals. So yeah, I feel like they're trying to erase Kobe simply to prop up LeBron James.
All right. We got another super chat from Cash. He said it's for all y'all. Nick, if you want to answer this one, do you think, and he shouts at AOH at the end, do you think if Bronny doesn't make the league, he will get a tattoo that says unchosen one? Is that why LeBron's keeps wearing that unhat? What do you have to say about that, Nick?
But I do have a theory. LeBron wants to play with his kid real bad. He's going to make it happen somehow. It'll be interesting to see how they pull it off or do it. I can't say if I had that much pull and I could play with my kid in the NBA, I wouldn't do it, you know, like just kind of fuck what everyone thinks. I can't necessarily say I wouldn't do it, but I honestly think that's what he's hanging around for. He wants to play with his kid. It'll be like kind of cool, but empty, you know, with most of LeBron's stuff, right? In my opinion, you know, it's whatever. Like if you have a kid, you know, it'd be pretty cool, but I think that's honestly what he's waiting for. That's my theory.
So I just want to let everyone know too with this, if you're trying to super chat everybody, it doesn't work that way. Whoever's channel you're on, that's who it will get the super chat to. So it's not as easy as just saying, Harry, you get a little bit, because this is being live streamed over multiple channels. So if you want to super chat somebody specifically, please go to their channel, because I've seen some more in that I'll come up, and I'm not sure if this is the case, but DSP Historical Society has not done one. And you know what? I'm going to go, he says, in my opinion, Pippen is way overrated. Shouldn't have been top 75. Wasn't ever top 10 any year he played. Thoughts? Also, I have the entire 2011 finals on VHS tape. Any way to upload that to YouTube? The second part, yeah, you can get a the word is escaping me right now, but like an adapter that you can go and make it digital, so you can play it off of VHS if you can find an adapter for it, and then you can record it on your computer. And I'll answer this just because I haven't said anything. In my opinion, Pippen is way overrated. Shouldn't have been top 75. Wasn't ever top 10 any year he played. I think that it might have been arguably top 10 a couple of those years, but to the point of it, was he absolutely, you know, a stud in the league? I agree that he was never really a huge stud in the league. He was great. Should he have been top 75 as the greatest? I don't think he's the best 75, but I think greatness wise, I think he has an argument just for what he did with Michael Jordan and the Bulls. Eric C says $10 to NNB Sports. I don't know if you're on NNB Sports channel. If you are, but either way,
Man, I
Nick,
appreciate that.
Yeah. Let's see if there's any more super chats. Eric C. Again, Eric C, you've $10 super chatted me. Thank you for the thought. I don't know who it went to though. It didn't go to me though. And then I don't know how much money this is or what this is. 2,490 HUF. If anyone knows that currency, I don't know what it is. So, but he says, my opinion, you guys need to talk more in context when you bash Braun. 6, 7, 8 years ago, he was a beast. If you mentioned Braun's pros too, you'd be more credible. Man down, do you want to talk on that at all?
It's a Hungarian, by the way.
Okay.
Oh, Hungarian. Nice. Talk more about context when you bash Bron 6, 7, 8 years ago. He was a beast. If you mention Bron's pros too, you'll be more credible. I mention Bron's pros all the time. It's just you know, the whole reason why we have to discuss LeBron in this way is because most of the things that they say good about him are false narratives. And there has to be some type of counterbalance. You know, I think if everybody stopped talking about false narratives with LeBron, like i.e. he makes everyone around him better, he drags bombs, he does more with less. Like these are the things that are carrying LeBron into the conversation where he don't really needs to be. So the counter to that is now we have to speak against those things and be truthful about it and put it more in context. So if it wasn't one extreme, it wouldn't be the opposite extreme, in my opinion. And then we would have an opportunity to sit here and talk about him and with the realness and talk about how good he is as a driving to the lane, how good he is as a passer. I think he does have a good, the great IQ of the game and stuff like that. We could talk about those things if we didn't always have to daggone undo all of these false narratives that they're throwing out there. So that's just my thing. But I talk about his pros a lot before I get into his cons.
All right. The Traders Playbook says, is everyone in media paid off by Clutch Sports? I'll answer this real fast. You can go on their website and see who they manage. So what they do under the table or not explicitly, I'm sure they do that as well or in some capacity. But I would say no in totality. But let's continue the show. That's all, or I think that's all. Or did I miss one? I think I missed one, man. I think there was another $10 one for Uncommon by yep, here it is.
Blowing up right now in the chat.
Thankfully,
Shout out to everybody in the chat.
Yes, thank you for blessing us all with these super chats because this is absolutely amazing. We can't even do the show because there's so much. The topic of the show, excuse me.
People want the truth.
Yep. For Uncommon again, first, I love this panel. You guys are the true. Secondly, the last part of my super chat was LBJ tried to get Kyrie traded for CP3 and completely killed that team. His fault. What do you have to say about that, Uncommon?
Well, first of all, thanks again for the $10 super chat. And yeah, that's facts. Matter of fact, I can't remember who I was watching, but they were talking about when people talk about LeBron leaving Cleveland the second time, and they always try to say Kyrie wanted out. They never mention the fact that LeBron tried to get him traded. And so I mean, and of course LeBron, does what LeBron does, and that's, denies anything about that possibility. But yeah, facts.
Hey, Uncommon, let me follow that point up too. And this is how you know it's true, because Dan Gilbert was going to sign off on the trade to get Paul George and CP3, but he had a stipulation. He said, LeBron, I need you to sign an extension, which I don't blame Dan Gilbert, because why would he go get those players and you're on your final year of your contract when he already had a suspicion that he was going to leave? So when he rejected that offer, I mean, why would I go get these players? So no, I don't blame Kyrie Irving. Once he got wind of that, it's like, wait. I just hit the game-winning shot, but you want to trade me for Paul George and CP3? Because I remember he was complaining about we're top-heavy, bro. You got Kevin Love, Kyrie Irving, Richard Jefferson. I think they brought in Darren Williams, Tristan Thompson, J.R. Smith, Iman Shumpert. Like, bro, improve the bottom half. Like, what are you crying about? But no, I don't blame Kyrie. I would have left too.
And then man down, we'll let you I'll ask you a question. And then this was not addressed to anybody. So if you want to answer this first, and then to follow up, I know you came in a little bit later on the show, but do you have anything to talk about with everyone else said about their takes about are you done with the modern NBA? Yes or no, and why? But first, do you think we need a new commissioner to return the game to a competition as opposed to the exhibition we get?
No, I don't think we need a new commissioner because this direction that the NBA was, where we are now is the direction David Stern was sending us. This is where they wanted to go. And if you look at all the owners, and if you look at the TV deals that Adam Silver is bringing in and how much money they're getting, like the money has never been better. They're getting money. That's why you can get a Jaylen Brown who's a number 2 on his team and probably can't be a legit number 1 anywhere else that's getting paid number 1 money on the Boston Celtics, because they know that this TV deal is about to be ridiculous. So money is going to be flying everywhere. The owners are happy. They're satisfied. So they don't have a problem with Adam Silver. We as fans just have a problem with the product that they're putting on the floor as basketball. But I think we're outnumbered. Like, people that really truly love all aspects of basketball, we're outnumbered. Like, because the NBA is surrounded around people who just, they just want the entertainment. They just want the dunks, the threes. They want the soap opera. We got more Rihannas around the game than we got actual players like Rasheed Wallace. Like, when the last time you seen Rasheed go to a Pistons game? Like, he's not showing up even watching his own squad like that. Like, so we don't have true real fans around the game. We got all these new people that just want the entertainment. So Adam Silver is doing his job, ruining basketball, but making money, right? And I guess the NBA don't stand for real basketball anymore, just stand for entertainment, and you know, it's basically WWE. So no, I don't think getting a new commissioner in there is going to help anything, because if we get real basketball back, we're gonna lose all the fanboys, and they know that. So that's the thing.
Are you done with the modern NBA or not, and why?
Nah, I'm not done with, because we don't have an alternative. we need another league. You know what I mean? Like we need Ice Cube to turn the Big Three into a real basketball league, and just take all the players the way the American Football League did back in the day, and you know, and just start over. We just need a new league that's gonna be dedicated to real basketball, and let everybody choose. Do you want the WWE version of basketball in the NBA, or do you want true basketball? And let everybody choose and see how that happens. You know what I mean? So, but until we get another league, we can't really be done. We can all we can do is talk about what we want to see, and hopefully they'll make that change.
Absolutely. DSP Historical Society is super chat at AOH. He says, please keep it up, player. Love all of you. How long before LeBron throws Bronny under the bus as a minimum? What are you going to say about that, AOH?
Thank you, DSP. I saw him in the comments say that one that he did earlier was for me too, so I appreciate that one too. Geez, man, that's a good comment.
That was diabolical.
and it's diabolical because we can actually see it happening. Like, there's no end to what distasteful stuff LeBron James would do. Yeah, I could see it happening. I could see it happening.
That's hilarious. We got another.
I gotta agree. There are other leagues. People always tell me on my channel. In fact, a lot of times it's LeBron fans that are like, well, if you hate the NBA, stop watching it. And then other people are like, hey, you know, you could go and watch college. You could go and watch Euro League. I think there's a core problem. I guess we're all victims of it, but what we're being marketed is what we go to, and you're not going to have the marketing to send people to a better quality basketball game unless there's the money behind it. And unfortunately, with society, you know, I truly believe human beings base their decisions on money more than ethics now. You're not going to get the best players choosing a more competitive league or a higher quality game because they're going to go where the money is, even if it's not the right decision. So there is better basketball out there. Like, I'm going to go watch the Santa Cruz Warriors, the G League team now. You know, not to rip on the Warriors. You know, I'm a Bay Area guy. I see you've got a Warriors hat on, but for me, it's exhausting to see Curry have to do miracle shit constantly just to get wins, while the entire narrative is that LeBron James needs more help while his team is carrying him. We clearly repeat what we're being told because they're almost the polar opposite of each other. Curry literally carrying while LeBron James is being carried. And yet what do we hear is that LeBron James is leading his team into the playoffs via this ridiculous play-in.
Don't that feel like an insult when you hear it though? Like for people who is thinking on a higher wavelength, when you watch ESPN and when you hear people saying this stuff, don't you feel insulted? Like, man, how dumb do you think I am, man? Like, that it really pisses me off that I'm sitting here watching these people say this stuff, man, and we just know better. And
well, I get
how
really
easy it is to influence all the other people, man. It makes me mad, yo.
That's why
I get really dark on that because I think people are that dumb now. I think there's a big audience of dumb people out there, and that's why it works.
Nah, man, down. Bro, that's one reason why I stopped watching. Because when I started seeing like how they were just kicking these narratives, and I'm looking like, wait a minute. Like last year, for example, we got the Nuggets who are just steamrolling everybody, but yet all the headlines are, oh, well, can LeBron get a 5th championship? Like, so we're not even gonna talk about the teams who are actually playing great basketball. We're just gonna focus on one individual. I'm like, yeah, I'm finna tune away.
Real fast, we got another super chat amongst more. And this was not addressed to anybody. So, Nick, if you want to answer this, do you know anyone in NBA history who has had an entire roster traded during the season outside of Balco Man?
Hey man, shout out to the chat.
Yeah, I've never seen something
Oh,
stripped
no
down for
mercy.
parts was as bad as that. So no, I can't think of one off the top of my head.
Robin gets another super chat for $10 from Recipes with Reed. He says, one problem with this generation is they think, that the players today created all the different moves, skills, and get shocked when they see a video of Bob Cousy making no-look passes. What do you have to say about that, Robin?
Yo, this is part of what we're talking about right now, man. This is the problem. See, when we talk about these guys in the past being pioneers, people don't even understand what a pioneer is, right? A pioneer is as it relates to the NBA game. So when they say these guys were plumbers and taxi cab drivers, yes, that may have been, but they were also pioneers on the basketball court, which means they were the first to do these things, i.e. Elgin Baylor was before Dr. J, and Dr. J was before Michael Jordan. I remember hearing Dr. J saying he was inspired by watching Elgin Baylor. So once again, it's Dr. J acknowledging, not tearing down Elgin Baylor or saying, oh, Elgin Baylor wasn't that great. He couldn't dribble with this hand or he couldn't do it the way I did it. No, he acknowledging that these guys were the pioneers of the game. When my man Down was talking about the fans today and how the game is making money, the problem for the players today that they have to come to terms with, the reality is that these very fans, those fans are not real basketball fans. So when they call us old heads, this is what we're standing up to. Because all the money that these guys may be making in this era, for whatever the reasons are, they don't get the respect of the other players. So when you hear LeBron James say he wants his damn respect, do you think he's asking his LeBron James fan club members? No, he's asking the real true basketball fans for the respect, because we're the ones putting things into perspective. We're the ones putting context behind these narratives and lies. We're the ones setting the record straight. So even though these guys may be making money, the guys like Karl Anthony Towns, the Jaylen Browns, the Devin Bookers, I laugh at these guys. They're a bunch of clowns out there. They don't have the respect of the true fans, man. And it's the true fans. We're the ones that have the say here, not these fools out here on their podcasts, just because they used to play in the NBA. So all the money these guys may have made, it's not going to add up to nothing, man. They're not true fans. They're just watching the highlights.
I got to chime in because Robin mentioned this earlier, and I wanted to talk about it. We old heads tend to start drawing parallels between society and what's wrong with the NBA. And these guys spend so much time trying to attack the characters of people who existed before they were born, and instead of talk about basketball. And there's just, I feel like we've got an entire planet of people on their smartphones just looking for things to complain about, but they're simultaneously the most unethical generation that's ever existed. Like, these dudes wouldn't help an old woman across the street, but they'll go home and make sure see if someone didn't use a correct pronoun and be like, oh, see, look how terrible that person is.
We got another super chat came in for Robin from Gary. He says, I love your energy, man. Keep the content coming. Can you tell me a few players you love and respect outside of basketball? What do you have to say?
Much respect to Gary. Thank you once again, man, for your continued support. Like outside of basketball, I'll just give you two other players that I grew up. I told you, I grew up playing basketball, football, and baseball growing up. And in other sports, my favorite player in football was Emmitt Smith. I loved Emmitt Smith, so that was someone that I looked up to on the football field was Emmitt Smith. And as it goes for baseball, Ken Griffey Jr. was my guy growing up, man. I loved Ken Griffey Jr. You know, he had the lefty swing. I'm left-handed. So Emmitt Smith, Ken Griffey Jr. Those are two other athletes that I grew up really having a lot of respect for.
Real fast, I just for everyone watching right now, if you like what somebody else is saying that you're not familiar with, please go to their channel and subscribe to it. Just make sure if you want to support these guys to do so. We got another super chat that came in from MyBro2K. And it's not addressed to anybody, so I'll just answer it real fast. Braun played half of his career on the weakest East ever, in the latter half an incredibly stacked teams. That's what Braun sexuals want to forget. Yeah, a lot of people will go and just try to expand upon that he was so dominant, and they omit what a lot of people perceive as a very weak conference, the weak era, and all of that. So I totally agree with that. I don't mean to cut it short, but we have a lot of super chats coming in, so I'm just trying to catch up with it, because if I don't, they'll go away. So Tamiko Settle says, for sports and fitness rants, if Grant Hill, Jamal Mashburn, and Derek Coleman had never gotten injured, we'd never be talking about LeBron James. Keep up the great content. What do you have to say about that?
Yo, much respect, man, for coming through with the super chat. I'm truly humble once again, guys. It means a lot. You guys are really, like I said, showing a lot of love to the live stream right now. And see, like, these are things that we talk about. Like, we've never like tearing down, like, my man Down was saying earlier, like, we don't tear down LeBron James. What we're trying to do is we're just trying to give the balance here. I always tell people on my channel, what I'm giving you is my perspective from what I watched growing up. So when I say that I watched these things growing up, I'm not saying that I understand the game better than anybody else at that time that was growing up watching it, or that I'm somehow smarter, or I saw things that no one else was seeing. What I'm trying to get across to people is that I watched these things because we didn't have the cell phones and the computers and all of this stuff at the touch of our fingertips. We had to literally sit down and watch the games. I tell a lot of people on my channel, my father's a huge basketball fan. I was very fortunate growing up. But there was one TV in my household, and if my dad was watching basketball, everyone was watching basketball in the house, man. And Michael Jordan was always on. So we watched these things. I said I grew up in New York. The Knicks and the Bulls, that was box office right there. Every single year in the 90s. So when I'm trying to tell people that I watch these things growing up, it's not anything that I'm seeing or I know more things. It's the fact that the fans today are not always watching the games to the point of the degree that we did. So they'll go look up the highlights, they look at the box scores, and they'll come to a conclusion. It's the same way that they've been doing when we hear that we're done with the 90s stuff. They see some low lights of Michael Jordan, some low lights of Larry Bird, or Magic Johnson, Will Chamberlain, Bill Russell. And what do? They're viewing it through the negative. They're not viewing it from the purity or being a fan of the game. So I've told people in the past, they're like, oh, well, because you watched the game back then you understand it better than if I watched it now. Yes, I do, because I know the other guys on the court. I know these guys. If I gave somebody a tape and told them to watch a game from 1992, let's say, and they're watching the game, they don't know the players on the court. So what their opinion might be of somebody is false. They're going to say, oh, this guy couldn't dribble the ball. This guy was wide open and didn't take the shot. They're going to critique them as a negative. They're not understanding that was not their role. Even if these guys were open, quote unquote, it wasn't their role to shoot that shot or to dribble the ball down the court like an idiot. Meanwhile, a lot of these guys today think they're shooters, think they're dribblers when they're not.
All right, real fast, AOH, you got a super chat. We have more past this, but I'm going to give my take and then go into. I'll ask another question after that. But for AOH, yep, a lot of super chats. Thank you all. To speak for everyone, we're all blessed that you are donating this money to us because you appreciate what we're doing for you. So to speak for everybody, thank you very much. AOH, you're doing God's work by documenting everything. Keep the content coming. Can you tell me one thing that has to change for the NBA to improve?
No, we're way beyond one thing. Jeez. Wow, to narrow it down to one thing?
Angry Hoops fans, how about if they just start enforcing the rules? I mean, because if they do that, then they would not allow all these illegal screens.
That's a great point, man. Down.
Yeah, stars wouldn't be getting all of these freaking calls that they shouldn't be getting. You know, LeBron wouldn't be going to the Lakers as a whole wouldn't be going to the line so many times more than their opponents. Like if they just actually called the game correct, which they're trying to correct because Adam Silver has. If y'all been noticing the games, they've been allowing more physical play. So I think that was a instruction coming down from Adam Silver to the head officials and stuff like that. So they're trying, but if they just enforce the rules for real and start rigging games, then I think the product could get better.
Well, you're correct, but them not calling the game correctly is a symptom of something else. So you got to correct that first. I mean, what do we actually believe that the refs don't know the rules, don't have to study the rule book? I mean, it's not, most of their F-ups aren't accidents. Well, I don't know what percentage there. I mean, it's a tough job. It's a tough job. I've seen replays where I was yelling at the screen and I was wrong. Like what they have to do out there is tough, but there's a lot of things that are just absurd. And when they're inexplicable calls tend to favor a certain person, then you got to look at, well, why are they making the incorrect calls and why are they doing it for this person? I don't know how you are going to change that unless we change the approach to marketing the NBA, which is, as you guys pointed out earlier, individualism. You want the individual to have success more than the team wants to have success. My other, I would have said, take away the salaries and see who really wants to play there because they love. Who wants to be there because they love basketball and are competitors and want to win? Give them $50,000 plus the guys who make the finals get another $100,000. I don't know, but you got to take away these incentives that cause people to behave in unethical manners, whether that's the referees or the players.
I think that's a double-edged sword, and I'm with you. The referees aren't making mistakes most of the time on these calls. It's them being instructed on how to call the games.
Yeah.
Right. So they're telling them they're doing it for maximum entertainment factor, right? Because they're allowed to carry now. You get what I'm saying? If you come down and you look at a player like let's say LeBron, let's say Luka. Luka does it a lot. But before Luka actually uses his high screening role, he brings the ball up as almost as a hesitation every single time and puts his palm under the ball every single time before he actually decides to use that screen, because that gives him an option of actually exploding left, or if that highlight, if the man depending on how the defender is guarding him, he can cross it back and use the screen going the other way. But every single time he's carrying, right? And this is something they banned and was making an emphasis when Iverson was doing something similar, just so they could call it, because they didn't want the game to look like street ball, right? But now they're okay with it because they understand, oh man, more entertainment, more points. That's the goal. They just want points on the board. They just want entertainment, less defense. That's all they want. That's the brand that they're putting out there. It's, so if they decided to dedicate themselves back to actual basketball.
And when do we draw the line? I mean, let's just remove dribbling. Just run from one end to the other and dunk it.
That's how it partially. That's how it was originally made. You didn't dribble the ball in Naismith ball, but that's a sidebar. You didn't, when the basketball was first invented, you did not dribble the ball. It actually had lacing on it like a football.
Yeah.
But let me give my point real fast, and we got more super chats coming in, and they're starting to back up again. So let me give my take. So in respect to, are we done with the modern NBA, or am I done with the modern NBA? In respect to the movement, I'm done with the modern NBA. They trash. So in respect to, because I just wanted to say that, but no, it just kills me. I don't want to reiterate what a lot of you guys said, but the effort's not there. The skills is what actually really kills me, is that they just call somebody a skill player, because a lot of the time they'll just be running ISO ball. They're shooting 3-pointers, and then they carry the ball while they're dribbling. And that automatically means that you're the most skilled player of all time. Nobody's been able to do that. Nobody can go left. Especially within the 60s and prior, with the rules that you couldn't even cross over, because if you turned your hand a certain way, it was considered a carry. So you couldn't even do a crossover because it was a carry. So with respect to all of that, I'm done with the modern NBA, and with a lot of the modern NBA fans that want to disrespect the past eras by just saying it was trash. It's, I don't understand how people go and say that with a straight face, that prior eras of basketball, the 80s, the 90s, some even say the 2000s, and then prior to that as well, but just to account for the quote-unquote movement that happened, it's absolutely laughable to say that they couldn't compete, especially the star players, and to say that bench players today would be able to compete with the star players of yesteryear is absolute nonsense. That's just trash. That's not true. And the people that believe that, why don't you watch some old film and think that the number 15 on the bench can compete? That's absolute nonsense. But I want to make this transition. Now, I'm going to say my point, but I want to ask Uncommon Sense and the rest of you. And it was brought up a little bit before, and AOH and Mel were just talking about this from Man Down Sports, is one thing that really kills me about the modern NBA is the post play. It's practically non-existent. There's a handful of guys that do it, and they absolutely dominate the league, i.e. Jokic. Then you got guys to a lesser degree like Embiid, and even to a lesser degree guys like Giannis. They're all in the Sabonis, exactly. They're all within the MVP running, and it's ironic that one of their main weapons is the low post game. So, you know, how, and people will go and just say you have to shoot 3-pointers because that's how the game is played. It's all, that's the skill. And I understand the math that if you go and you shoot 50% from 2, it's the same as shooting 30-ish% from 3. I get it. However, to me, it's not entertaining. And 3, you have to actually make those shots. And when you're closer to the basket in general, especially if you know how to move, then you know what I'm saying? It's easier to get that. So for me, one thing that kills me about the modern era is the lack of post game. Before, and this will be a transition for you, Uncommon, because you got 2 super chats back to back. Stop being so mean to LeBron. He's a good father and he reads a lot from the Agony TV. What do you have to say about that? Yeah.
Shout out to the Agony. Thanks for the $5 super thanks. And yes, LeBron is an avid reader of first pages.
Yeah, I was about to say, what's on the second page?
And then also you got another one. I love your channel, man. Stay on the next. Can you tell me your favorite basketball memory from the 90s and one from the early 2000s?
From the 90s, as a matter of fact, I just did a video about this. One of my favorite memories is John Starks dunking over Horace Grant and Michael Jordan's in the. People try to say he dunked on Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan was kind of in the frame, but he dunked on Horace Grant. And that was one of my favorite memories because, like I said, to me, it just demonstrates when you have a player who raises the standards of the entire league, like Michael Jordan did, then you get players who play above what they normally would play. And to me, that's one of the examples. To me, John Starks always raised his game when he was playing against Michael Jordan. And so, yeah. And let's see, from the early 2000s, I would probably say AI still in that game from the Lakers. Just because I'm a Allen Iverson fan, and to me, he's just one guy. Like I said, despite the fact that there was some things about him that I think he kind of started. He kind of started some of the stuff that we're seeing now in the NBA. But besides that, one thing you can't say about Allen Iverson is that he played half-heartedly when he was on the court. Whenever he was on the court, you know he was given 150%. So that's probably one of my favorite memories.
Aja Morris has super chatted me. I know I said we'd transition, but I just want to move this around, and then there's another one that wasn't addressed anybody, so I'll address these two just so I don't lose these super chats because they only last for so long. So Aja Morris says 92 Eastern Conference Finals, Bulls and Knicks was one of the most exciting and intense series, slug match that went 7. Missed those days. Much respect to everyone on the panel. Thank you, Aja, for super chatting me the $5. And yeah, it's just not the tough and rumble old school as it's known now basketball, and that's something that I agree is something that I find more entertaining personally. And then the Sandman Morrison super chatted somebody for $10. He said, might sound kind of evil, but what about them not getting paid until the end of the season and making their salary based on how their team won and get paid a salary based on that evil? I know. It's that would be something. However, if everyone always got paid for their production, then a lot of people wouldn't be making a lot of money in the world. So, and it's entertainment, but I get your point. And then Uncommon Sense. I'm just going to put this up on the screen. I don't know who are you paired to the channel, Mel? I don't think you are.
How,
right?
how do I do that?
So it's in the link that I sent you.
Okay.
it'll give you the option to sign in. You'd probably have to leave the show at this point to get it together, but next time if you want to do that, you'd be able to get super chats and stuff.
Okay.
And then it would also broadcast to your channel.
Okay.
But Uncommon Sense, what is one thing that you would like to see change or you think is missing in the modern NBA that just absolutely kills you that you didn't say before?
I mean, you mentioned the post play, and to me, I think that's a big deal. I feel like this: post play, period, is always going to be more consistent than 3-point shots because either you're going to A, get a higher percentage shot, or B, more likely draw a foul. And so yeah, and to me, this whole 3-point thing, case in point of why it's so inconsistent or how it's so inconsistent is the amount of blowouts we have nowadays. And that's because it's like either you're hot from 3 and you're going to blow somebody out, and the other team is not smart enough to say, okay, well, we're not hot from 3, so let's at least keep making some 2s and we can probably keep it relatively close. But they start trying to match 3s and then wind up getting blown out. So yeah, seeing the post play come back is, that would be a good start. But I honestly don't have any hope for the NBA returning to a watchable state soon.
Amen.
Hey, can I say this about post play? So what they don't understand, because this 3-point evolution all started from people coming in that probably wasn't really inclined basketball wise, but really looking at everything from an analytical standpoint, right? So people call them stat nerds or whatever, but they came in and was like, and came up with this idea, threes are better than mid-range, threes are better than post, whatever. But when you think about it, it's a necessary evil. If you look at boxing, it's almost like the jab. Like you wouldn't come in as a boxer and just throw haymakers, right? Everything is necessary. It's part of the game. You can't take jabbing out of boxing just like you can't take mid-range and post play out of basketball. When you go in the post, it's a strategy. You're going down there, you're getting a shot blocker who got to defend more often than not, and you might get him in foul trouble, which will open up driving lanes, which also will open up driving kicks for threes, right? So you just can't lose all of that. Same thing with mid-range, so all of that is necessary. And for you to say we don't need it anymore and the better shot is the layup or the 3 is just asinine. Like serious. Like I want to see someone get Jokic in foul trouble because he has to defend, and then use that as a strategy. Instead of doing that, they just let Jokic just come down and chill on defense, right? He might have to guard a couple of screen and rolls, but okay, I'm just gonna let the guard blow by me. You can have that layup because I know y'all can't defend me on the other end. It's just weird the way basketball is going that way, and acting like the post play and the mid range is not a necessary evil anymore.
I want to chime in on that too, because what Man Down was saying, like we were talking about this a while back on the big men. What he said is absolutely correct, and I actually like to analogize it as when you're playing in the post, it's more so like in boxing, it's like going to the body. Why is that? Because if you're dominating down there, like you said, that's going to loosen up the defense. It's going to get the other players, big men, in foul trouble, which does what? Put you in the bonus, which does what? Allows you to get more open drives to the lane now because you've opened the defense up. They can't play as aggressive. And then it gets your 3-point shooters going. But it's like they're trying to play the inverse. They're trying to shoot the 3 first and go to the post. And that's never going to be a recipe for success. I.e., look at the Houston Rockets. I keep telling people this. Analytics is not going to win championships. There's never been one great team that won a championship did not have that post-up guy that can hit mid-range shots. It's essential, it's integral, and you have to have it. No team is going to win without that.
Real fast, I want to catch up with the super chats. Cash had done this for Man Down Sports. Why isn't your stream up so we can super chat? Love all the channels. Someone post a link to the other channels so we can subscribe. Just to go through them all, mine is at Michael Jordan Fans are the best, and then there's at Uncommon Sense, at NNB Sports, at Angry Old Hoops or Angry Old Hoops Fan, at Sports and Fitness Rants, at DeJuan Sanders, and at Man Down Sports, I believe. The handles, but either way, it's Man Down Sports for that, and otherwise you could find us all easily. But yeah, and we talked about this earlier, but thank you, Cash. Unless you had something to say about this, Mel, at all.
No, that's one of my dogs. I know him. I appreciate that. I shared him the next time I join next Sunday.
Aja super chatted me $5. Thank you very much. Physicality embodies competition. When you're being pushed as a man, your pride kicks in, you push back. People want to see competition, not exhibition. And I think with that said, just like the last few years with the All-Star game, it's absolutely it's hard to watch for me to speak for myself. It's absolutely it's like putting glass in your eyes when you're watching it because it's just it's laughable, it's pathetic, it's humiliating in my opinion that they're trying to put on some entertainment and they're going around jogging and not even trying. It looks that way at least. So just to speak for myself, the All-Star game has gone way downhill, and I think it's absolutely it's terrible. Yeah, everyone wants to see competition versus exhibition. I agree. We got a super chat for Robin. Shout out to Sports and Fitness for posting the iconic shorts. Go for the Bulls defense on the Knicks stopping Smith from scoring or Jordan past Petrovic.
Yeah, I've been posting. Much respect, the lowly one. Thank you. I've been posting a lot of shorts recently because they keep telling us they're done with the '90s and they wanted to go low light for low light. So I was posting a lot of low lights of a lot of these guys like LeBron James, and I've been posting a lot of highlights of the '90s Michael Jordan. So maybe I could look for that Charles Smith clip he's talking about, or the Petrovic one that we all know that he's talking about with the triple pump layup. So yeah, shout out to you, my man, the lonely one. Thank you.
Buki Allen sent somebody a super sticker, didn't really say anything. So if y'all notice it, it's a hippo character hitting itself in the face. I don't know who it got sent to. Meg also super chatted somebody at $1.99. I don't know who that went to, but I will thank you for them. Thank you very much. Tamiko Settles super chats AOH for $10. What's the deal with the big afro? Second, if they take the NBA off ESPN and put it back on NBC with that intro song, Jim Gray and Ahmad Rashad, that's a great start. I'd love that. What do you have to say about that, AOH?
Oh, man. I'll take you down a rabbit hole if I completely address my outfit. But I'll say we should do a whole thing on that. But I'll say right now, you added the "af" in front of it, which makes it an African fro. It's not an afro. I have, a big head of curly hair is not exclusive to one ethnicity. In fact, I looked like that before I got old and gray haired. This is a throwback to my younger self, while also being a costume that allows me to behave this way anonymously. And also, I have a real job and things like that now. And also, the gray haired fro doesn't look as good as when I was younger. But
hey, has anybody from work found your channel yet?
Fucking hope not.
Yeah, I'm the same way, man.
Yeah, I could say more on that. But I think no. We'll move on. I'll keep. We could do a whole conversation about it. If they take back the NBA off ESPN. Oh, okay. Well, that's more of a comment. Great. Hey, can I say something about the paint? We've been talking about. Oh no, I'm sorry. You got to do your super chats.
Yeah, well, yeah. Just let me do this one, and then you say it. Pierre super chatted me $5. Thank you very much, Pierre. He says, "Hey, Dart and the great cast. The photo of you and Hoop God is great." Yeah, for the people that didn't know, I actually met up with Hoop God last night, and we had some beers and talked basketball and life and all that sort of stuff. Went to Twin Peaks, got to see some pretty ladies, and just had a good overall time. So thank you for complimenting the photo. Do you have anything to say about that, Hoop God?
Oh man, like I said yesterday, man, it was great vibes, great energy. We even met an elder, and he was even telling us about his experience with these modern day kids, and we just to me, I'm a simple guy, man. I enjoy stuff like that. Just a good drink, talking sports, and of course, like he said, saw some pretty ladies out there.
Real fast before AOH, you talk about the paint. The one guy that he's talking about that we were talking about said he played golf with Michael Jordan and explained that he was a real chill guy. He just really wanted to win. And
no,
I haven't.
He was talking about Jordan Spieth, the golfer.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah,
I
I
had
thought.
asked him if it was Michael Jordan, and he said
Yeah.
he said yes, but I couldn't hear him, and he probably couldn't hear me. So
Yeah, I thought he said Michael Jordan too. He was talking about Jordan Spieth.
oh, okay. Well, disregard. AOH, what did you have to say about the paint?
Consequences. Dunks used to be more interesting because if you were willing to try and dunk, there were consequences to be paid, possibly, which was a sign of bravery. You were willing to do it and take the beating. What are the consequences now? It's like once in a blue moon that somebody even contests you. Once in a blue moon that somebody even contests you, and they're not going to put you on your ass either. I guess, everything's out at the perimeter. The lane is wide open. The lane looks inviting, and if you decide to take that wide open lane, you're probably not gonna suffer any consequences. And a little dude like John Starks rising to the occasion. That was a great point. Going in and dunking on those dudes. Yeah, I mean that was even if you weren't cheering for the Knicks, you're like, damn, respect to John Starks for doing that. Nowadays, I'm not. Yay, you can make a dunk. You're a tall NBA player and you can dunk. Who cares? And maybe I wouldn't be so upset about it, except that this generation is going to talk about guys dunking now and compare it to guys dunking in the past. There's a difference between dunking when you have to face consequences and dunking when it's a wide open lane.
That's facts. The price of everything in the NBA is cheaper now. The price of a rebound is cheaper. You don't have to box out. You don't have to battle. A Rodman rebound and a Charles Oakley rebound is not comparable to a LeBron or a Luka rebound or a Harden rebound. Like all of those rebounds are from long shots, long threes equal long rebounds outside of the paint, and you're not battling for it. They're just falling in your hand. So. Usually the guy that's playing the least amount of defense gets rewarded with the defensive rebound because he's not defending the shot. And if you can't play defense, you get rewarded by guarding the least offensive player in the corner.
LeBron James.
Which is not the guy that's gonna crash the board, so rebounds fall to you again. So notice the guys that don't play defense and plays the James Harden or the Westbrook or the LeBron or the Luka system also are very close to triple doubles as well, because they're getting those rebounds by not playing defense, and they're using the fact that they do so much on offense as an excuse for not playing defense. They're all in the same boat.
Nick, what is one thing? Well, I want because this also the super chat was not addressed to anybody, but thank you, Cash, for the $4.99. He says, I usually joke, but on a serious note, all love to Kobe, but who else thinks the Kings versus LA was fixed during the 2002 Western Conference Finals? If you want to answer that, and what is one thing that kills you about the modern NBA you want to see changed, or about about the pain, if you want to elaborate on that, what me and Uncommon we're talking about?
Yeah, so I think the whole thing we've talked about the past hour, in my opinion, kind of comes down to two things. Number one, I think the big divide right now is what I call the banana boat culture, right? The picture of Chris Paul and Dwayne Wade. Everybody wants to be buddy. No one wants to be disliked. You even talk about Bird, how he didn't want to do a commercial with Magic because he might end up liking him, right? He wanted every edge he could when he played against guys. And Giannis has talked about this. And so I think if you have to change something, right? And I think this is also why people don't play defense a lot, because defense is a little mean. You got to get up in people's face and you need an edge to be a good defender, right? But I think that is the one thing. If we have to point to one thing, it's this banana boat culture. Everyone wants to be liked. Everyone wants to go and win, right? And everyone wants to hop on their friend's team, right? And they just want to kind of look cool and shoot threes. The second thing is like the money, which you guys have talked about. And the best kind of comparison I can draw is quarterbacks started making so much money, right? And they completely changed the rules. You can't target people. You can't hit them low. They had to change all the rules for football because of the money that the quarterbacks started making, right? And a lot of that has changed with today's NBA. And the money part and the culture part, I don't really have a good answer for that. Maybe we do an end of the year where you ranked for your position plus bonuses kind of thing. I don't know how you would do that to sort of incentivize being more competitive, but my biggest gripe, and I think everything that everyone's kind of said, in my opinion, kind of funnels into this banana boat culture, right? No one wants to step on anyone's toes. No one can be overly competitive. I just want to go with my friends and I just want to win rings, right? And that, I think the culture part, I think seeps in a lot with, or ties in a lot with that. That's my main gripe right now. I think the big cultural divide with today's fans and, you know, the game that we all kind of talk about and grew up watching is just this, like, nobody can be nasty anymore. No one can say, I don't like this guy. I hope he loses every game going forward, right? Just simple stuff like that. That's just accepted when you get highly competitive, right? It should. That's what I'm sick of, and I think that is largely the culture that needs to change. And you know, that coupled with the money, you know, I don't have a good answer for the money part, right? But that's my biggest gripe that I wanted to get in is, you know, the picture of Chris Paul and Dwayne Ray, right? It is this banana boat culture that I'm just absolutely sick of. And the last thing I'll say is, some people kind of mentioned it, how this is the vision that Stern wanted. You know, superstars are much easier to market than teams, right? A guy in China is not really concerned with who the best team is. He's going to identify with a superstar, right? Curry the shooter, or LeBron the athlete, or whatever he likes, right? And so that's kind of maybe the last thing I'll say is I don't know how you get over that, because it's definitely true, right? The San Antonio Spurs don't sell shoes, but LeBron and Luka do, right? And how do you, again, how do we change this? I'm not sure, but that's kind of the things that I see that I kind of wanted to get off my chest that we've been talking about.
Real fast.
Was
you
that
think
finals rigged?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yep. Yeah, that was, you don't know. Yeah. Okay.
I have to go deep dive.
AOH, well, real fast, Nate the Great super chatted somebody. He says, Jordan was and will always be the NBA GOAT, hands down. Great statement. And then Armando Ruiz super chatted somebody $5 as well, and I'm putting his face up on here. AOH, what do you have to say, or what is, you were talking about a little bit with Mel earlier, but at the same time, and because somebody asked it on a super chat, but what do you have to say about what all of us has said with our points, and what is one thing that kills you about the NBA that you would change in the modern NBA?
Well, I think we've talked all day about what kills us about the modern NBA, but I'll go. I'll jump on the quarterback. Sorry, I'm a few beers in. And no breakfast. I went and worked out and then followed it up with beer.
Great.
So here's it goes back to the consequences. Quarterbacks knew that it's a punishing position to play, and they chose to do it anyway because that's who they were. That's the position that they liked. And they knew, a lot of them live with pain and injuries to this day. So protecting quarterbacks makes a little more sense than acting like NBA players need to be protected. But my point isn't to try and say, yes, it was fine to protect quarterbacks. My point is, I did a longevity rant earlier this year. People think we owe it to these NBA players to never get hurt and never have any injuries and to have a happy, perfectly healthy life after they become nearly billionaires playing the sport. They chose to be professional athletes. You are slamming against other professional athletes in order to win for a living. There should be some physical consequences for that. Why would you choose that for a living and not have to live with some sort of punishment for it when especially you got financially compensated for it? Now these guys not only think that they shouldn't ever get injured or never even play when their ankle is uncomfortable, but also get to endorse their brands on the sidelines and in the press conferences and in their podcasts. They're not even dedicating themselves to this game, that somehow the fans have been brainwashed into thinking that we owe them even more. How dare we ask them to play 60 games? I mean, they actually complained about that shit.
but you know what, Angry Hoops fan, the load management and players not playing 65 games or more is the least of the NBA's problems. Like that's just low hanging fruit that people
Sure.
have been annoyed by, and it's easy to compare with the mentality of a Michael Jordan and the guys that played in their era. That's easy to compare. So the only reason why I bring up the load management in any NBA conversation is if I'm comparing a player from a tougher era to this era, right? I think it's noteworthy when you're making that comparison. But as far as fixing the NBA, load management is not what's killing the NBA. The NBA is killing this. It's eating its own tail, and it's going is in a decline. We've seen a rising of the NBA in the 60s and 70s, and then maybe 80s and 90s was an explosion, and then it maintained it in the early 2000s, and then now it's on decline. Like what goes up got to come down. So we're declining as an NBA, and I don't think you can stop it. I don't think there's nothing that you can do because you're gonna have to revert back to the old ways, and I don't think that we're creating people with our mentality in this new generation, so they're not even going to be able to stomach the old way of the NBA.
Yeah.
And
I
the
mean,
and
look,
the players are not built like that, because to build a Michael Jordan, Michael Jordan had to go through what the Pistons and those teams in their era of basketball went through to be Michael Jordan. So we'll never see another Michael Jordan. You know, the best we're going to get is somebody like LeBron.
Real fast, we got some more super chats that came in. For Robin, $5 from Hayden Phoenix says, just seen an MJ highlight dunk from the 80s where he shattered the backboard on a tomahawk power dunk for a guard. That monstrous. What do you have to say about it?
Yeah, much respect to my man Hayden Phoenix, man. One of my true subscribers, one of my true supporters. Yeah, that was from I believe that was a charity event in Italy where Michael Jordan shattered the backboard. I don't remember what year that was. It was like 87 maybe or something like that Michael Jordan shot that backboard. That's Michael Jordan, man. The power of Michael Jordan.
Yep. And then I lost it. Where'd it go? I got a super chat as well. And it's from Oh the Agony TV. I lost it. Sorry. It should be popping up on the screen. I don't know why it's not.
Yeah, it's on the screen.
Okay, it's just me. It's just on my end then. Some people, Arena, say the modern league is, but thank you for the $10, Oh the Agony. I appreciate it very much. Some people, Arena, say the modern league is better because you have more players who can shoot the three compared to the 90s where players had specific role to play. That's not entirely true. There were utility players, just like there are utility players now. You got they have a whole categorization of guys that they call 3-and-D players. This is not monumental news. This is just stuff that people omit when they talk about these role players. You have the 3-and-D guys, you have the rebounders that come off the bench that are still in the modern NBA. You even have the ball handlers that come off the bench. It didn't go away. You just got guys like Arenas that say it did. Just because he says it doesn't mean it did. Please, for the people that have not opened their eyes to this, I forget somebody, I think it was AOH saying this, use your own reasoning. Look at what's in front of your face and tell me that there aren't role players in today's NBA. That's laughable to say that there aren't. Sorry, I got a little worked up there. But that stuff just kills me, seeing that stuff or hearing that stuff when people say that's a thing. It's not. Buki Allen super chatted somebody for $1.99. Thank you, Buki Allen. Robin, what's one thing that you would love to see change in the modern NBA, or what do you have to say about what everyone else said?
Man, you guys hit a lot of points here, man. And for me, it always comes back to the first thing that I said when we started this live stream. It's the mindset of these players and the respect level that we do not have for these guys now. So when we talk about, you guys were talking earlier about the paint, the paint game, the post play right now, that goes to the mindset of these players. Why are they going to work on a post game? Why do they feel the need to work on? I mean, think about Ben Simmons, for example. The man just completely gave up after he got all the money. He said, why do I got to practice? Why do I got to work on my game? I'm good enough as it is. A lot of these guys want to get by on their athleticism off their God-given gifts that they were given, but they don't want to hone these skills or work on their games. We think about LeBron James, and this is no knock on him, man. These are the facts here. When you think about LeBron James' overall game, that's the mindset of LeBron James. Why would he work on his game when the rules over the years have been changed and catered to his play style of banging and lowering his shoulder, using the off arm. I always tell people, if you've noticed LeBron James over the last 6-7 seasons, what you'll notice is he's traveling a lot more on the court. And why is this? Because he's been able to use his physicality a lot more on the court. So when he dips his shoulder and he drives into people and they're going backwards, he needs that third or fourth step to stabilize himself and gather up and make a layup. If you notice, that's what he does all the time now. So this goes to the mindset. Why would these guys work on their games? Why would they develop a post game? And the irony behind this is when you think about the way the game is played, developing a post game where you have to draw a double team, let's say, for example, is going to open up perimeter shots. Whenever we look at guys who played the game back in the day, that was the balance of the game. If they threw the ball down to a post-up player and he was able to force a double team and he was able to read the defense and pass it to the open man, whether it was a mid-range shot or a three-pointer, those are open shots. They could do that in this era, but not many players are going to do that. It goes to the mindset. When Nick talks about the banana boat mindset or the banana boat crew and all the things that's going on right now, that goes to the mindset, the lack of respect, the lack of competitiveness that we have for these guys, because they can be individuals and the NBA could market individuals. That's what started with Michael Jordan, right? He was the first really main individual NBA star to be marketed that way. Michael Jordan became bigger almost than the Chicago Bulls. He was almost bigger than the game, Michael Jordan. Right? They were marketing individuals. You think about guys like Shaquille O'Neal. You think about the Charles Barkleys, the Penny Hardaways, right? These are individuals that the NBA was marketing. The difference between those guys in the 90s and some of the other eras, the individuals, the great players, is that they had the respect of the fans. It's the fans that respected these guys. So you could market the individual and not the team necessarily because you respected that individual that the NBA was trying to sell you on. Whether you respected their game, the way that they carried themselves, the way that they approached the game, their mindset, their heart, their grit, whatever the case may be. Dennis Rodman had a lot of fans, true fans in the 90s, even though he was hated by the media, hated by the public. The true basketball fans appreciated Dennis Rodman. Why? Because he earned the respect on the court. This man was weird as hell. He was doing all kinds of weird stuff. It didn't matter, though, because when he was on the court, what did Michael Jordan say? You knew what you were going to get from Dennis Rodman, man. This goes to the minds of the players. We talked earlier. You guys were talking about how the players today going into the paint, and you had to earn it. If you were going to go in for a dunk, you were going to get challenged. That's the respect that we don't have. So if we think about the great shot blockers of this era, the Rudy Goberts, the Jaren Jackson Jr.'s, these guys are not earning the same blocking titles that guys in the 90s and the 80s were earning. And why is this? Because you had legit dunkers, high flyers, legit big men challenging you at the rim consistently. So you earned that title of becoming a shot blocker. These guys are averaging 3, 4, 5 shot blocks a game, whereas opposed to now, they go win a shot blocking title, barely averaging 3. Look at Victor Wembanyama. The man comes in the NBA and is immediately the premier shot blocker in the league. It would not be that way in some of the other eras where you had these guys earning those shot blocking titles. So all of this comes back to the one thing that I've been saying is the mindset of these players. They feel entitled. They feel that they're bigger than the fans. They're bigger than the game. All they want is the money and the fame. We talk about the load managing. The problem for the load managing is what my man Uncommon was saying, and some of you guys mentioned, the blowout victories. Why are some of these teams getting blown out? Because they have all the players sitting out load managing. So you'll go to a game, the other team will have their fully loaded team, and they'll be playing against another team with their players all out. And the reasoning is sore ankle, or the reasoning is a finger. Zion Williamson is out right now with a finger. A finger. So really, are we supposed to believe they have a true love of the game when you're out for a finger? And I'm not downplaying the injury or the significance of it. But for you to be out with a finger injury or a sore ankle or a sore knee or a sore foot, it's laughable at best when they want to call these guys bigger, stronger, and faster. Makes no sense, man. So the mindset needs to change because I will never respect these guys today as grown men of this era as opposed to the other grown men. Think about the mindset of a player today who gets fans ejected from the stands and they cover and use it to excuse it by saying they said something racial or they said something about their family, so to speak. Are we really to believe that the players from the 50s or the 60s or the 70s, even the 80s and the 90s, were not hearing racial things or things of that nature said to them? It's laughable for these guys to use it as a crutch or an excuse as to why they get offended now so easily, the sensitivities of these fools.
I real quick, I want to chime in about the post-up. When people these days say players can ISO, you have to understand the ISO back in the day was the post-up, right? How many – did you have a good left and right-hand post-up? And we don't need you to sit outside and dribble all day because your job is to feed the big man and get in spots and be ready, maybe make a move or two if needed. But that was the ISO back in the day. It was throwing the ball down low, and we're all going to play off of that inside out, as they say.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Real fast, we got some more super chats that came in. Armando Ruiz says, I've decided, he didn't say this to anybody, but this was funny. I've decided that contract Clutch Sports to help change the narrative on me, not having hair and being the #1 realtor in all of Chicago. If they can do it for LeBron, they can do it for me. Yeah, if anyone could do it, it's them.
That's funny, man. But Armando need to find a safer place to do real estate. Chicago ain't it, man.
Buki Allen says the system is trash. It doesn't beat smart teams, and his fanboys make excuses talking about who he played against in the finals. Yeah, that is Hoop Guy. Do you have anything to say about that? And then if you want to transition into the one thing that kills you about.
Yeah. So what the guy Booski said, and this is what I've told people on other platforms as well. LeBron struggles against good to great rim protection. And if you look at it, look at the teams who have eliminated him. We just go back in history. The Detroit Pistons in 2006, which he put down, but for the most part, they had Ben Wallace. When he defeated the Pistons, Ben Wallace was no longer there. We can transition to Boston Celtics. I believe in 35% from the field. Why? Because they turned him into a jump shooter. Where does he dominate? He dominates from 0 to 4 feet in the rim, which if you can do that, that's phenomenal. But however, when you get to the playoffs, teams have time to game plan for you. They can develop a strategy. Then we can move to 2009. Now, this is another one that a lot of people say he played great. If you look at the stat sheet, the stat sheet says he plays great. But if you go back and watch the film, well, there were times where they were forcing him into taking uncharacterized jump shots because they knew that was his weakness. Now, Jameer Nelson didn't play in that series. Dwight Howard, I think in game 3, only played like 28 minutes. He had opportunities to capitalize, but unfortunately he didn't. 2011, Tyson Chandler. The Spurs, Tim Duncan and Tiago Splitter. The Warriors, when they had what was his name? Andrew Bogut. And then in 2017-18, they had Zaza Pachulia and JaVale McGee. So if you just look at history, and then don't let me mention the Nuggets. I forgot about them, 2023. He tends to struggle against teams who have good to great rim protection. I mean, when you're looking at his style of play, you just can't deny that. That's why what we were talking about earlier, you have to have that diversity. And that's another reason why I have Kobe Bryant over him, because Kobe didn't struggle with guys like that because he could hit those perimeter jump shots in the mid-range. Or if he had an opportunity to post you up, he could still get his shot off because he had a back-to-the-basket game. But that's my take on that part. Now, what was the second one that you mentioned, Dark?
What's one thing that kills you about the modern NBA?
The lack of emphasis on defense, the low managing. Like, we don't even get to see those marquee matchups, like KD and LeBron, for example, or LeBron going against Giannis or KD Giannis. It's like I don't want to sound like I'm reaching right now, but it's almost like these guys will look on the schedule and say, "Hey, I don't want to play against this guy tonight." Like, bro, no, that's the whole reason why we want to see this. You know, you're cheating the fans because they bought this ticket to say, "Hey, this is going to be a game where Kawhi goes up against Kevin Durant, and Kawhi says, okay, I'm gonna exercise low manage. I don't want to play." Well, really? So now you're just going to cheat a fan who's probably saved up over a year. I would just say at an estimate, probably about a year, to get that ticket to come see you play, and then you don't show up. No, I feel like the Adam Silver, there's some type of policy he needs to put in place that tells these guys, okay, we're not just going to just pick and choose these games when we're not playing, because that's cheating the fan base. And that's one thing that Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan never did. They never cheated the fans. And then, like a sports and fitness rant said, it's that the whole mentality. I mean, it's like, bro, I get it. Like, y'all might be cool off the court, but man, you got to learn how to separate that while you're on the court, because the people want to see competition. And then, like NMB Sports mentioned, Banana Boat Crew, I'm just like, man, when I'm looking at it now, like, not to digress, but now I'm seeing all this stuff going on with Diddy. It's kind of like, okay, I really don't want to know what you guys is doing outside this camera. I'm like, man, you know, but that's another topic. But yeah, that's overall, like, in regards to what I don't like, I don't like the whole buddy mentality. the picking and choosing not when to play, and then it's like, bro, you got to put forth that defensive effort. If you don't, I mean, it's like, well, what are we doing? We just running up and down having a 3-point exhibition. Like, I don't want to see that.
I actually slightly disagree about the missing games thing because they always use an example of somebody saved up their life savings to get a ticket and this player didn't show up. I hate that example because how often does that happen? And if my dad was saving up a year's worth of salary to get a ticket and it was banking on this one guy showing up, I need a new dad. I'm just being honest with him. He probably need a new job too. So I hate that example. I mean, I get what they're trying to do with it, but that's a horrible example. I mean, I just don't like it, man. I mean, who on this panel saved up a year's worth of money to get a ticket?
Oh, I haven't.
I agree with that. I think
man, this is the thing, man. This is what I was saying when we talked about before. Like, how many times do you turn on the game and then you have one team has all their players and then the other team doesn't have any of their star players? So that's what we're talking about, the marquee matchups. And yeah, I mean, obviously it's a problem though because the NBA instituted a minimum game on these guys. That's a man. Listen, ever since COVID happened in the bubble season, these guys are barely playing 55 games, barely playing 55 games, and they're allowed to cheese these scoring titles and these rebounding titles and things of that nature, these all NBA selections. What that does is it cheapens the NBA, and this is what we're talking about. So if these guys were allowed to continue what they were doing, it would have got to the point. Remember, man, down. These guys were also starting to say that they wanted the NBA to change the entire season. They wanted to shorten the entire NBA season. So what does that go to? The mindset, once again, these guys are not even men enough to play 82 games when they were doing it under harsher conditions back in the day. You cannot sell that to the common folk. You cannot sell that nonsense to them by saying, oh, these guys shouldn't have to play 82 games. You actually have coaches saying that the schedule today is too harsh on the players. But then they sell us on the idea that they're bigger, stronger, faster. It cannot be both freaking ways. It can't be both ways, man. Show the hell up at 82 damn games. You get all the damn money. Everyone else out here in the world is showing up, man. I'm tired of the excuses. If you're legit hurt, no doubt, you're hurt, no doubt about it. But when you have a sore ankle, a sore knee, a sore foot, a sprained finger, you have your feelings hurt. Some guys are going to see, they got to go to the psychiatrist now, and they're not feeling that well mentally to play. I'm not listening to none of that garbage, man. None of that. The average person does not want to hear that crap.
Dark,
that's why I said I slightly disagree. I just don't like the example of the guy who bought the ticket. That's not the real issue, and it's easily fixable. You just gotta give better direction on what we value, right? So if you value guys that play 82 games, then that has to go into all the voting when it comes for first, second, third team, all different. Like, you don't have to make a rule. Like, you just have to have a standard. Like, if you look at the 87, 88 Michael Jordan MVP run, he was defensive player of the year. He was the scoring leader. You know, he had his team top 4 in the East. Right. He also averaged 35 points a game, 6 rebounds, six assists, and he played all 82 games. So if they're going to name the Michael Jeffrey Jordan trophy, the MVP, they named the trophy after him, right, 2 years ago. Then if you're going to do that, then rededicate yourself to everything that he embodied as an MVP. So when you're voting for MVP, you can't go to a guy all the way in the 7th seed to play 0 and say MVP. And if you stop rewarding guys for only playing offense and not playing all the games and not playing defense, and I'm saying Luka, I'm bringing Luka's name up. He's a great offensive player to get assists and cheap rebounds, but he plays no defense and he don't play 82 games either. So if you stop valuing it and stop putting them on the top run-ins and saying that this is the best guy in the league that we have to offer, then players will course correct. They'll correct themselves. That's all you got to do is just say, we're only rewarding the guys who meet this standard or get close to that standard, and they'll correct themselves.
Real fast. Real fast, because my computer's dying. AOH, if you want to respond, I'll go through the super chats, and then Mel will get his turn from Man Down Sports, and then we'll start closing up after that. I'm losing power on my laptop, so I apologize for people that wanted to call in. I don't have the power on my laptop. But AOH, what did you have to say about this?
Well, I'm going to call it a big picture take on the man saving up to go to a game example. What's funny already?
Go ahead. I already know it's gonna be good.
Well, that might not be the wisest thing to do with your money, but I'll tell you, I did it when I moved out here and I was more passionate about basketball and I wasn't making money and I saved for a while to go to a Warriors game and we were playing the Jazz who would go on to play the Bulls in the finals. And here's the thing. I didn't even have to worry about it. Wasn't even on my mind. Didn't even think about it. You didn't worry about it back then that the players weren't going to show. It was a strange thing, like a legit injury, a freak thing that they wouldn't be there. So whether or not that was a good spending of my money, the big picture is that now you're almost suspecting them not to play as much as they are going to play, which points to a fundamental flaw in character and competitiveness. You know, you went from a guy who you couldn't get to sit out, even if the doctor said he should have, to now they're like, yeah, I'll sit out any opportunity that I get.
Yeah.
Yep,
I agree.
Yep. Let's get to these super chats. Cash says, let's be honest. And please, for the future, I know this has happened sometime. And I did have an overlay, but it was going completely over Mel's face. So I had to take it off. But if you're going to super chat somebody, you want somebody to address it, please let them know because this is streaming from multiple channels.
By the way, Karl Malone scored 56 that night that I went. So I'm glad he played. It was something to see.
Cash says, let's be honest. Do you think you would ever catch MJ on the back of a banana boat ever? Not like that. Not with like three other dudes, and yeah, probably not. And then Drama Therapy says the mindset of the players is influenced by a player that likely has narcissistic personality disorder in LeBron James. No one focuses on character. Thank you, Drama Therapy, for whoever you super chatted that to, the $9.99. Mel, what's your take on what everyone else had to say? What's one thing that kills you about the modern NBA?
Man, I what everybody else had to say, I mean, I agree with most of it. I already kind of talked about the load management piece, but I think what kills me is that the fixing of the games is more apparent now than it ever was, and I think what is going on is that MJ kind of spoiled us, right? They did have to do some maneuvering to market MJ the way they wanted to do. They took the league from being because they wasn't enforcing the rules then either, right? The way they was letting them play defense and knock people around and try to hurt people. Like the Pistons admitted they was trying to hurt Michael Jordan. So only thing and put it and say we're going to enforce the rules properly, right? And so they didn't actually, everybody say he went to the commissioner and said, hey, man, they're fouling me and blah, blah, blah. Only thing the NBA had to change was say, let's enforce the rules for real. These fouls are, I mean, it's going against what our rule book says, right? So let's enforce the rules properly. And then once they made that adjustment, the rest is history. MJ was unstoppable. Well, looking for a new MJ was the business model for the NBA. Hey, we found out that we can market the NBA the way the way they did with MJ. Let's continue that. Let's find another MJ after he retired, right? So they would do that. And Kobe, we got lucky with Kobe, but after Kobe, trying to keep that business model, there was not another guy that was built like MJ or Kobe, right? So now they had to take it from enforcing the rules really properly to okay, let's bend them all the way to this end of the spectrum. Let's allow carrying, let's allow traveling, let's do, let's take defense out of the equation so we can get more scoring, and everything is inflated now. And the gap that's between the best player in this era and Kobe and Mike is so huge that they have to fill it with propaganda in the media, lies, and NBA fixing games to be able to get LeBron to actually meet some of the criteria or meet some of the accomplishments that MJ had. it's all fake. It's all false. I mean, it's pretty much like the fake food we eating now. Everything is fake. You know, so that's my issue with it, man. They fixing games and it's noticeable. You know, and I don't like that part.
Awesome. So we're gonna start wrapping the show up, but real fast. If you're in the chat and you have an idea of what you want to see for the next episode on next Sunday, please super chat us an idea for what topic you want us to cover, and then we'll go over them. But I know AOH, I know you wanted to ask the whole panel a question, but yeah, my battery life isn't going to survive it. But if you want to ask one person on the panel while people are super chatting us some ideas, then you can ask your question, and then otherwise let's start signing off because I have like 10% battery.
I mean, I know what people are going to say. It's rhetorical anyway, but with all the banana boat talk, you know, I wanted to like I got ill. I got ill inside when I saw the Morris brother crown LeBron James when he was on their team in 2020. And I just wanted to say, character-wise, can you imagine LeBron telling someone before the game, "Hey man, I want you to crown me"? Like, I don't even think MJ would accept that gesture if someone came up and offered it to him. He'd be like, get the fuck away from me. Like, that is some corny shit. This is some corny shit. And all these handshakes before the game, like we're supposed to be convinced that y'all are tight. I don't think any of these guys respect each other. All their friendship is surface level.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Quivion Black super chatted somebody again. Please say who you're super chatting in general.
That's one of my people.
Yep, he says, "Can we say LeBron is the reason the league plays no D?" I mean, that could be a topic, I guess. But that's kind of a.
I don't know if we could blame that on LeBron James. Like I said, we could blame the mindset on LeBron James, but the lack of defense goes to the NBA changing the rules. And like I said, the sensitivity of these players, man, these guys, think about it. Whenever you see someone getting or playing tight defense, being physical, what do you see their reaction on the face of these guys? It's like, how dare you play defense on me right now? It's laughable.
Yeah, you probably can't blame you, and you're right. You probably can't blame him, but it happened on his watch.
Yeah.
And think about all the things that happened on his watch. The decline of the NBA happened on his watch. The decline of USA basketball happened on his watch. Bronze medals happened on his watch. Crowning a guy with 6 finals. I mean, like everything that declined about basketball happened on his watch, man. I think that that says something.
Yeah. And I just wanted to say this because someone I meant to respond to this earlier. Someone said something about if you would talk about the pros about LeBron James, you would be more credible. And I just want to say this. First of all, LeBron James has no credibility. And at this point, the way I view LeBron James is when you look at the flopping, when you look at the super teams, when you look at the traveling and carrying and all of these things, and that's not really the worst part. The worst part is LeBron James gets on camera and tries to pretend that these things don't happen. So when you take that into consideration, the fact that he's denying it, the way I see LeBron James is someone who's constantly trying to cheat the system. So therefore, when I see you like that, I don't care about your pros. I don't care about you breaking the scoring record and all these things, because I look at you as someone who been constantly trying to game the system since the beginning.
And all his fans have to say is, well, other people do it too. Well, is he a leader or not?
Exactly. And look, look, Angry Hoops, other people that they claim are lesser players than LeBron James. Why would you compare someone to who care if you think that this guy is lesser than LeBron? Why are you making that person the standard for what LeBron does?
It's the entire mentality of tearing other people down to raise yourself up.
Hey,
right.
Man down. They don't even realize how much they contradict themselves. That's why I said the vast majority of LeBron fans, they were in special ed. Like, I'm convinced.
They gotta be.
Man. I think this podcast with LeBron and JJ Redick, that's gonna be the worst thing that ever happened to you fanboys, because it's so many narratives
Trying
out
to
there
copy out.
that LeBron can't keep it straight. So he's like contradicting himself episode after episode.
They don't care about the lies.
This man's all over creation.
Yep. Do any of you have an idea for next week's show? Before I throw one out that any of you want to particularly cover?
This is too deep, but how do you explain the mentality of LeBron fans where they don't actually even care if it's true or not? Like, yeah, LeBron is exposing himself on his podcast, but he exposes himself constantly. Like, I couldn't even get through everything absurd that LeBron James has done or said, and every reaction to everything is, oh yeah, but did Jordan do this? And I mean, they don't care. They want to believe what they already believe. I'm not sure. Well, I was going to say that these people aren't helpable, but I've had some people on my channel in the comments say that they actually changed, which blows my mind. That's great. But I don't think there's help for most.
My thing with that is you can't get on stage and say not 1, not 2, not 6, not 7, not 8, then get to the finals. Now, Chris Bosh didn't make you have an 8-point game. Mario Chalmers didn't make you have an 8-point game. Dwayne Wade didn't make you have an 8-point game. So you can't get on stage and put on all these theatrics and then subsequently choke in the fourth quarter of that NBA Finals and then turn around and blame your team. Like, nah, we don't want to hear that. And then for him to make this whole mind the game. Now, I wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt because let me see what he's going to say.
Oh, stop.
Not one time have I even heard him remotely come close to Kobe Bryant when breaking offensive principles, offensive concepts, defensive principles, defensive concepts. All he's doing now is he's trying to control the YouTube streets because the vast of lame stream media. And it's ridiculous. It's comical at this.
Yeah.
So
I'm glad you mentioned him trying to control the YouTube streets. I heard through the grapevine that a lot of LeBron content been getting strikes on YouTube for some reason, like copyright and
Dude,
all
I have
types
crashed.
of stuff like that, man.
I have crashed all of a sudden.
Real fast. So are you guys good with the subject? Something along the lines of the title. Is there something wrong with LeBron fans or something like that? Just to keep with that subject. Is everyone on board with it to go over it?
I'm fine with everything, man. But I don't want to beat up the fanboys, man. I let Uncommon Sense do that.
Yeah.
Wait. Is that
Click
for
off,
next?
fanboy. Click off.
Yeah, for next week.
Oh yeah.
Well, maybe we can send you some
Shannon
videos.
Sharp, Nick Rome, Kendrick Coffee Perkins, and Colin Cowherd. Oh yeah, I'm ready for that. Yeah.
All right, we gotta shut this down. I would like to keep going. My computer's gonna die. So
maybe we could also talk about some of the potential playoff matchups coming up for the postseason. Also,
okay. Let's all talk offline about it. But yeah, we could do that too. Yeah, we'll talk offline and figure it out. Because my thing's gonna die soon. Uncommon Sense. What do you have to say to the people as we get going here?
Same thing I say every week. Support all of the channels who are at least giving you true opinions, and I think it's important because, like I said, they're putting out the false narratives, especially about the old players, every single day. So we do this every single day to try to, as a sports and fitness rants would say, setting the record straight. So support all these channels, and I'll see y'all next time.
All right, Nick, what do you got to say?
I do not approve of the Luka slander, but that's probably for another time and place. But yeah, as always, man, I enjoyed it, man. It was good hearing from everybody, and yeah, if you like what I had to say, then check me out.
AOH, what do you got to say?
Hey, thanks for having me on, and thanks for all the viewers supporting me and everyone else.
Absolutely, Robin.
Yeah, once again, man, shout out to all you guys, man, for real. Everyone who came through on the panel again. This has been truly amazing, guys. for all you guys to be coming out here and joining this, man. It's like I said, man, send the record straight. We're all standing up. And shout out once again to everybody in the chat. You guys are the true supporters, man, the true basketball fans. Once again, thank you to everybody out there, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, and Eric, thank you too. Eric had given me a donation earlier. That's really cool. Thanks, Eric.
Hoop God, what do you got to say?
Man, I love the dialogue, and let's continue to build upon the truths and continue to debunk and obliterate all these lies and narratives.
Absolutely. Mel, what do you got to say?
Man, appreciate everybody on the panel, man. Thanks for the invite. Appreciate everybody in the comment section. And like everybody said, man, support all the channels. Go subscribe. If you're not already subscribed to all of us, go subscribe to all of us, man. So, and I guess I'll see y'all next time.
Yep. And I want to thank everyone that's watching in the live chat, all the super chats that y'all gave. We're blessed by you for your support. And thanks for joining us on this beautiful Sunday. You could catch us next week at the same time, noon Eastern. And everyone should be there. Maybe not. We'll figure it out. But either way, if they can't, then we'll catch them along the lines otherwise. And yeah, thanks again for everything. And for everyone, Michael Jordan fans are the best.